That was a good catch.
All right, Jimmy, you're good.
All right, guys, my name is Jimmy Mooney. I'm a sophomore student here at Mount Union. And today I'll be talking to you guys about acclimating to a new institution. So just, first of all, I just wanted to ask you guys a few questions, just to raise a hand. So how many of you guys live on campus? And how many of you live off campus? Okay, and then how many of you guys are athletes? A few in here. And then how many of you would say just like your experience overall academically has been like a lot different? Or different to some degree? Awesome. So I'll be talking about 3 specific components of acclimating to a new institution. So why is this important? So first of all, just according to the National Student Clearinghouse, there's the transfer enrollment has increased by 5% in the fall of 2023, and that like year over year that adds up to like tons of students and like by the millions basically, and that number is like growing year over year, especially since with like the transfer portal and NIL being a thing, especially since 2021 when NIL became a thing in college sports. So first of all, living situation. So it can really vary, like if you're on or off campus with or without roommates. Or in this experience, I guess for this student, I forget her exact name, but said that basically when you're living like on your own, for example, like it's really lonely. It could be really hard to make connections. And I guess with my own personal experience, I lived with three roommates, 3 friends of mine at my old school from track, so I was really close with them, always had something to do, I guess, outside of athletics or in classes. So it's been a lot different here because I'm living on my own, I guess, because it's cheaper basically to live in an apartment. But yeah, so I guess a way that kind of mitigates that is by getting yourself involved on campus, like whatever that may be. It could be literally anything that's related to doing something on campus. So cultural atmosphere can involve just campus life in general and athletics. So it can really vary, I guess, based on the size of the school you're going to from one place to another, as well as like the sport you might be doing if you're a student athlete. So one specific example of a University of Michigan baseball player who graduated, like was a graduate transfer, had a hard time, I guess, fitting in to the new school because he was an older student and lots of people were coming in at a different time and just overall felt like an outsider. And yeah, I guess there's just new coaches, new teammates, new classes, professors, all that sort of thing you're kind of dealing with in the campus life in general. And then last but not least, academic standards. So transfer shock, as you guys probably know, is basically about adapting to university culture, norms, and expectations. That's just one component of it. But basically all of that transfer shock as a whole and the difficulty of having to acclimate to a new school is certainly very challenging, and it, I guess, accumulates like in the classroom as well. It can make it harder when everything's thrown in your face, like especially when you first get to a new school. So that could, yeah, again, that can include anything from class sizes, professors, credit transfers, you name it. And then conclusion, so obviously it's difficult, it's inevitable that you're gonna face like challenges when you transfer. It's not easy, it's not supposed to be, it is difficult. And I guess, yeah, the acclimation can be living situation, the cultural atmosphere, whether that's sports or just being involved on campus, as well as having to deal with school too, because you're here for school, obviously. And I guess the coping mechanisms to mitigate this, as I mentioned before, is just getting involved on campus, doing anything that you enjoy, and utilizing the resources you have around you, and yeah, just making sure you do everything you can to make yourself transition here as best as possible. And then here are my references, if anybody has any questions.
Leah. Leah? One key takeaway.
living
experiences about living expenses.
living expenses.
Yeah, like living off campus.
It is a lot cheaper, I guess. Well, first of all, like the tuition here is cheaper at the school I used to go to because it was a private out-of-state school and like a Division I mid-major school, so it was a lot more expensive. And I guess to answer your question, but yeah, in terms of like living expenses and stuff, like it's different because like I'm in an apartment. It's like having, like a water bill or something like that. Just taking care of that is like totally different. And I'm on my own, so like I don't have like rent to split with roommates or anything like that. But yeah.
What's the NIL?
NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. It's basically like, I guess, if you pay attention to like college sports and stuff, they used to not be able to make money on like their own personal name or whatever, and basically like college athletes like at big schools like Power 5 basically in football, mainly in football and basketball, like they couldn't earn money on, like they weren't getting paid, only like coaches were. So basically they can, I guess, I don't know if I'm explaining this right. They indirectly, yeah, exactly. They just can make money off their own name, image, and likeness, but yeah.
So college athletes making money from playing, is what you're saying? Or not
not-
playing, but advertising, like they're.
Yeah, exactly.
Indirectly.
Right. They're marketing themselves to make money, essentially.
Now, to elaborate on that question, you said Power Fives. I've seen some examples of, FBS, like D1 AA, right? D2, even D3, you'd be surprised.
Mhm.
Did you find anything, like as far as examples for the lower divisions tapping into NIL that pertain to your research?
I don't know of any research. I know from like firsthand experience, like people who have gotten involved in like NIL and stuff at like the Division III level. But yeah, I don't really know anything that I researched specifically to answer your question about that. But it's not just the Power 5 guys. I just mentioned them because they're making like the big money.
Yeah, good example. Thank you. Any other questions? Alright, great job. Man, you gonna drop that phone again? You got no case.